Alright guys, welcome back to Garage 11. Today we are going to be doing another episode of the Cheyne Boyd YZ125. Now this thing, as you all know, is slowly coming together. It's a passion project, so we're sort of fitting it in between a lot of the other stuff we have going on at the moment, but I think it's time we get into another episode and try and get some more of this stuff done. As you can see, we've just pre-sandblasted this because we get a lot of our sandblasting done off-site. The exhaust has been restored by Paul at Prime Pipeworks, a better man than I when it comes to restoring exhausts. So he's been doing that for us, which is really good. So what we're going to do today, we're going to hydroblast all of this subframe here, and that will then lead us into cleaning up this, the airbox. Now, as you can see, and you've probably seen before, this thing has been through the wars. So we're going to try and see what we can do with it. We should be able to do something with it. It might not come up absolutely perfect, but it'll definitely be a lot better than what it is now by the time we sort of clean it up and try and get some of this stuff off it. And we're also today, we've just got stock triple clamps for it, which the team ran. But the Ohlins forks that came with it were off a 2015 YZ450. So they're a 48mm Ohlins fork, which we all know that the CDR team ran Ohlins back in the day. So we're going to be using them. So what we've done is we've measured up the differences in bore diameter between the forks and what the actual stock triple clamps were. And we've been able to, our machinist Terry has milled them out so we can actually fit these newer forks in. And there's actually a heap of material still left on the clamp, which is really nice. So that'll enable us to fit the stock front plate, the stock front guard, and then we can literally run, we've got a 2015 NV hub laced up to an XL wheel thanks to Axiom. So that's going to go on, and we'll just find the right brake caliper and hanger, and we should be good to go to put this front end straight into the bike. So hopefully we'll be able to get that done today. So what we're going to do is we're going to start on probably the worst of it, the airbox. So we're going to start by pulling this apart and then getting this outside and cleaned up to see if we can get a fair bit of stuff off. We can't put that straight in the vapor blaster because that would just ruin our vapor blaster media, and we don't want to do that. Everyone got yelled at not long ago about putting dirty shit in the vapor blaster, so we won't be doing that with this. We're definitely going to be cleaning this up a lot. So what we're going to do is we're going to get the boot off first. We're going to get all this stuff off, get all the peripheral stuff off. We're pretty much just going to get it down to the white piece of this airbox, and then we will try and clean it up from there. As you can see, we've pulled apart all the airbox, all its assemblies. We've stripped it down sort of as far as we want to go with it. We've got the transfer boot, the main box, the cage that still has all that old air filter attached to it, and all the little bits and pieces. Like we're just not going to restore that, we're going to replace it because we can get one. We'll have a look to see if we can get another one of these so it's all nicely zinced in that olive finish. Same with the speed nuts here. But what we're going to do now is we're going to have a look at trying to clean up this. As you can see, it's all pretty ordinary. It's not the worst one I've seen. It's got a couple little cracks, but I don't think they're going to really matter too much like in the mounting areas. We've just got to be careful with that. But as you can see, it's actually in probably not bad shape. So what we're going to do is we're going to try and give it a quick scrub outside first. And then we'll go forth and get it in the hydroblaster and see how it comes up. Okay guys, so one of the little tricks that we do have for cleaning white airboxes or airboxes in general is Maxima do a product called Clean Up. You can get it sort of anywhere. It's really good stuff. It smells a lot like kerosene, which it may very well be, but it's used for chain cleaner. So it's used for getting a lot of industrial type lubricants and waxy sort of stuff off, much like what air filter oil is. So what we do is we spray all inside here with it and let it sit for a moment. And then what that'll do is it seems to, cans running, you can even see it pushing some of the dirt away. It's just a pre-soak before we take it outside and scrub it. So we let it sit, get all that really baked on dirt and rubbish off. Same under there. And in that little pocket down the bottom here, you'll see a lot of air filter oil builds up in there where it ports out the bottom. Turn it over, give it a spray on the back. This one is running out, but I think we will be okay. Dead. I think that's all right. But yeah, so clean up, Maxima clean up, excuse me, is a really good way to get rid of, to break up all this stuff. As you can see, it's already starting to really pull all the dirt and grime off the plastic. And that's, you can see it there. It's really starting to clean it up already. Same, it'll happen in here. It'll start to break down a lot of the stuff in the bottom. All this leftover horrible filter oil stuff. So what we'll do is we'll give it a quick scrub with our shop towels, get rid of a lot of the shit off it before we take it into the hydroblaster. But as you can see, like I said, Maxima chain cleaner, awesome stuff, and it's what we use when we're doing airboxes because it really is just a really industrial cleaner. There's probably other products on the market. Simple Green would probably be pretty good. But yeah, we use that because it's just nice and usable, and we get the best result out of it. All right guys, we've cleaned it. As you can see, we just gave it a quick hydroblast. As you can see, it's already 100 times better than what it was. So that chain cleaner does a magnificent job. Usually we let it sit for a little longer than that, but that'll be okay. Still got a bit of ride park left in it, but that's all right. So what we're gonna do now, we're gonna head over to the hydroblaster, stick it in there and give it a hydroblast and see how much more of this stuff we can get out. Obviously you can go through the whole process of restoring the plastic, like you can actually go through and polish it and do whatever else you've got to do to it, which is fine. We're not going to that level with this bike, but you'll be surprised at what we can get done with this. right, people, we have finished up with cleaning of the airbox. As you can see, Marshall's over there doing whatever. We've fitted up, we've hydroblasted like we said. As you can see, it definitely isn't perfect, but it's definitely 100,000 times better than what it was. So we've got that in there. We've put the transfer boot on. We've managed to clean that up as well. Looks really good. So we're going to bolt it up now and fit off some plastics. We've managed to clean up the subframe nicely. There's a few little marks in it, but I think with this one, we're actually eventually going to look at making a jig of it and then doing these out of titanium, like the Yamaha of Troy team did back in the early 2000s. So that'll be really cool. Okay guys, here we are. We've got the triple clamps all cleaned up. As you can see, we've hydroblasted all this stuff. We've got our Procross bearings that we're going to be rebuilding these triple clamps with, and then we're going to be able to get them into the frame here. So as you can see, I mean, it's looking like it's a little bit raggedy in there, but that's all right. We'll pop the new racers in. We'll heat this up a little bit, try not to damage the powder coat too much. And then we'll slowly tap the racers in. And then what we'll do is we'll press all the bearings and the stem, into the lower clamp all in one motion. So it's the easiest way to do it. A little bit of heat on here really helps the process, just expanding that aluminium a little bit, helps it all go together. So what we'll do is we'll get all this stuff together, we'll head to the press, set it up, push it all together, and then we should be able to get these Ohlins forks. As you can see, they still need to be rebuilt. We're going to have to get the tinitrate lowers done, the gold like the team ran. Obviously get these re-anodized. We've got new stickers, genuine Ohlins stickers for them. They are a 2015 spec fork out of a 450, I think. But what we've done for our little 125 here is we've just bored these open just a little bit, just to fit on. I think we're going to have to bore out the top a little tiny bit more, but the bottom's perfect, but we'll just see how we go once we get them in. All right, let's head over to the press and see how we go. You can see here we've got our arrangement. So what we do here is we put the bearing, the stem through the bottom, the seal and the bearing on, and then we press the stem and the bearing onto the bottom clamp all in one motion. We've got this, I think it's a Ballard's tool, this one. It has a little, this has seen better days, but it goes on and sits on the inner race, and then we have this big drive that goes over the top of that, sits inside, and enables you to press it all together really nice and uniformly. You can put it in the press, or you can hit it with a hammer if you don't have a press at home, but it's always good instead of bashing on this and on the bearing and damaging it, or possibly damaging it. So we're going to set it up now in our press, and then from there we are going to press it in. There we go. So as you can see, it's all the way home, and that gets the bearing on, gets the stem back in, and it's all done in a really nice controlled method. If you notice that the bearing isn't spinning while you're doing it, sort of always double check, stop, see what could be causing that issue. But yeah, you've always got to make sure that that bearing's spinning nicely, nothing's binding up, there's no issues, and because you can do a lot of damage. It's a 20-ton press or a 10-ton press, whatever that is. That's a lot of force. So, so what we'll do is we'll get some grease on this now, and then we'll put the races in the clamp, in the stem, and then we can sort of offer all this up and then get some forks in there, and that's another job done. All right, so we're just going to get some heat into this area here using our King Chrome heat gun. Just helps it all expand. You can use a blowtorch, but it's probably not. Might be a little bit exciting for the powder coat. Just try and sink it, get as much heat into it as you can without damaging the finish. In, ready to go, top and bottom. So what we're going to do now, we've got the clamps set up. We are using the old nuts at the minute, but we're going to replace these with titanium ones. So we're just going to get a bit of grease onto these and then offer them up into the frame. And then we should be getting pretty close to getting the forks in. We've also got seat cover to do next. It's a pretty cool Boost Mobile one that we managed to get a hold of. So we'll replace this. We've got a strike seat foam for it as well. So that's going to be pretty cool. And that'll start to really tie the bike together. And once we do that, I just got to start looking at what needs to go in here. Massive part of that missing, but that's okay. We will keep working away. All right, guys, there you have it. We have clamps in. We haven't done the top one up yet because we're going to get the forks in there first to align them somewhat, and then we can tighten them up. But as you can see, they are happy days. It's probably the first time this bike's seen triple clamps in a long time. Like I said, it was sitting in a whole heap of tubs for a very long time. But now, obviously, as you can see, it's starting to come together, which is cool. But we'll get these clamps, we'll get these forks in now, and then obviously we're putting them in. They're going to be coming out. Like they're not even close to being ready to work with yet. But it's cool just to sort of start to see some of this stuff. You know, you start to see some of the colours and stuff take shape. It's very much more of a feel-good thing to try and, you know, get some of this stuff in and see it and whatever else. And then obviously, yeah, we'll pull them apart. There is a little rumour that a friend of Garage 11's may be making some of the replica Works billet triple clamps, so we might even get a hold of some of those. But we'll see. I mean, the team, from what I can see and what I've found out, stayed with the stock triple clamps in 01 CDR, but obviously YOT and the factory teams in the US were running billet work stuff, but Australia had a very different sort of affiliation, and it always has when it comes to works parts, or especially back then. Like, they didn't have, in this era, 01, they had obviously, like we've said before, you know, Rinaldi influence, which is obviously Ohlins, a lot of the European stuff, but it wasn't a great deal of factory stuff. You know, they had PC ignition covers, Works connection bash plate. Obviously, they had pretty trick Ohlins stuff, but nothing super crazy like what the Americans had. So we're blending a little bit, like we're getting it as close as we can to Boydie's bike, but we're doing a few of our own things, like we do our own carbon bash plates for these, so we're going to be putting them on. Water pump cover's going to go on. So, I mean, to be honest with you, we're probably going to have to re-powder coat this frame, but it's fine. And we're using, obviously, the Envy hubs and XL rims, where the team would have run stock. We're just adding a few little bits and pieces like that. Same with the titanium. We're doing a a lot of titanium pivots, axles, all that sort of stuff, which the team wouldn't have ran in 01, but we're going to do it because we can, and we like making stuff like that. So yeah, it's going to be cool. So we'll get these forks in, and then we'll be able to see the bike all forked up. It'll look like a hover bike soon. I think we may even have a set of old AFAM Flex Techs in one of those boxes for it as well, which will be super cool. So let's get these forks in. All right, so we got them in. It wasn't pretty. They're not far off, but I think we do need to take this top clamp off and just machine another, just a tiny little bit, 1/2 mil if that, off the diameter, and then that should help those go in a lot nicer. But as you can see, it's now a hover bike. It's looking pretty cool. Like seeing those forks in there now, they're trick, like they are trick. They're old technology now, but it's definitely nice to see everything sort of together and starting to come together anyway. Like it's a big process, especially like I said, we're doing this sort of between takes when we're doing other jobs. So, but it is cool to see it come through. Now, as you can see, we've got a few bits and pieces in there. Definitely need to, like I said, adjust the top clamps, but that's all stuff we can do. When you're modifying things like this, there's always, you modify one thing, you got to modify 10 other things. So I'm not unhappy with this at the moment and the progress that we've made, getting all that together. It just means, yeah, like I said, we'll just pop that off, clamp it up, mill it out, and then we should be fine. So, all right, guys, this is another episode of the Boyd YZ125. Thanks for watching. If you like what we've got going on, like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. Check out the merch underneath the video. We've got some cool stuff coming. And yeah, thanks for watching. All right, guys, thanks again. Bye.